Welcome to Small Business Big Visibility. Today I have Andreas Cooke, and he's got a very interesting life story. He's was the CEO of Banked Out Music Group, so his own private record label. He's also running Banked Out Marketing, and he helps people with social media and creating the content, but then flip that entirely, and he's also an operations expert that's helping these small business owners to know how they can make their business run more efficiently. Plus, the guy runs his own banked out radio show, like you can see in his background behind him and on his shirt. So he's doing podcasts, does event interviews, he does red carpet interviews. And then on top of all of that stuff, he's also producing a reality TV show. Like, that's the tip of the iceberg for this guy. So I'm excited. Andreas, tell us your story. How did you get into this world?
Oh wow, let's see here. Started back in actually I want to say it started back in high school. I was a
Okay.
lover of music, and music has always been a part of my life as far as like wanting to understand it. Used to love like, listen to music and this will I guess it'll date me or whatever, but listening on 45s and stuff like that.
Sure.
8-track player, being in the car and having one at the house. So I always loved music. When I got into high school, I was like, you know what? I'm going to form like my own label because I saw where like Master P and a lot of other people were starting their own music labels, and that was very influential and served as an impression upon me. So that's where
Right.
I came up with the name. Like I wanted something original and unique, and Banked Out was basically it was money motivated. At the time, it was like I want to have so much money that so I'm banked out. Meaning that the banks can't hold it, whatever. I got all these music selling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's where the name actually originated from. So after high school, went to college. I didn't do anything with the name, but I've always like had it in
Yeah.
my brain and emails and stuff like that, but never did anything with it. It wasn't until I think it was around a junior or a senior, probably a junior, and I declared my major when I first got to school. I went into business with a concentration in marketing.
Oh, okay.
But then I was like, you know what? I want to merge the two. I wanted to merge marketing and music together. So it was like first company was Banked Out Entertainment, and I labeled it as a music promotions company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, excuse me. I had my own directory listing in like it wasn't the yellow pages. I actually did a directory in the yellow book,
Okay.
and I was getting phone calls and stuff, but it, I was I guess ahead of the time because I want to work with independent artists and did that for a while. Got the results off of that, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to do an actual music label. So that's where Make That Music Group came from,
Okay.
where I started doing that and helping artists, put out music and did some myself. But then recently, I said within the last about 3 years ago, stopped really focusing on that because I wasn't getting the results that I wanted to, because I
Mhm.
didn't want to just stay as like a recording artist myself,
Yeah.
but also working with artists. I've learned that working with creative people in that respect, they're just so into their creativity that they forget the business side of stuff. So it makes my job
100%.
extremely hard trying to get them to do that. But I didn't want to like leave music alone.
Hmm.
So that's when I was like, you know what? Let me shift over and start doing like a radio station, which I had two of them at the time. I started with one in the city that I was in, Macon, Georgia. Was making Bib FM, and then after 2 years of doing that one, I launched my own app where I had banked out radio show, and I was already doing like podcast interviews and started with artists, and then that I extended that, and along with doing that, I just kept on with banked out radio show, and then basically put banked out radio show up under banked out marketing because of learning the skill set of a videographer, learning how to connect the dots, do events, put things together. I was like, I can offer this services to small business owners who I run into all the time, who I happen to be one, and I
Hmm.
know that they're doing things incorrectly because I've had
Gotcha.
other businesses in the past where I've helped them gross revenue to, the hundreds of thousands of dollars, the one being reaching $750,000 a year.
Nice.
So, yeah, I learned all that through experience, but then also coupling it with the education just kept going. And now I'm primarily focused on it. And then that led to, like you said, shooting a reality show this past summer because of the videography work and having to pick up that skill set because I needed someone to shoot my videos. And
Right.
at the time, the videographer I was working with, he wanted to go do other things in Atlanta, which I understood.
Hmm.
So I basically had to learn that skill set as a necessity and just kept
Gotcha.
growing. So now I'm like a one man operation doing all this stuff.
Got it. So I'm curious, rolling back to high school and that era of loving music and being involved in that, did you ever produce any music yourself? Are you a musician?
No, I did learn how to read music though, as far as like the treble clef. I started on the bass clef, but I left it alone. I learned how to play various instruments that you could play in like the chorus and stuff.
Okay.
So I was into that, and I always had like a great ear. I
Yeah.
think if I would have had like a traditional career in music, I more would have probably been along the lines of an A&R slash executive,
Gotcha.
because I could really relate and I could pick out songs that were going to like really do good. I used to actually put together mixtapes and compilation CDs
Oh,
that
okay.
people loved, and they were like, "How did you know all these different songs?" And I used to tell people, I would go buy the albums, and before they would, the record labels would release the other songs as singles, I could already tell which ones they were going to pick and put
Wow.
out,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's what ended up happening. And people was like, "Oh my God, you just have a." I was like, "Yeah, that's the type of passion and love I have for it because it's listening to music, when you're so into it, you can sort of tell, especially when you listen to a lot of it, it starts to have like a sound to it. And
Hmm.
certain things, like with a lot of hit songs, quote unquote, they all do around the same thing. Like they don't have like long intros. They really get into the song starting out. Another thing would be like the ride that they take you on. It's like a roller coaster,
Hmm.
where it always, climaxes around, the middle or the three-fourths of the song, and then it comes back around. They do a lot of storytelling where, you can really, if I tell people all the time, if I listen to music and I can see a video, I know it's a good song.
Right. Yep. So is there a particular kind of music that you love above all else?
Like I listen to a lot of rap, R&B,
Hmm.
depending on like pop, which is popular, depending on what it is. But I listen to a lot. It just all good music, no matter the genre, has like a certain feeling to it.
Hmm.
So it doesn't really matter. Like my playlist will go all over the place.
Hmm.
What I've been doing here lately for the last 7 years or so, I listen to a lot of independent artists.
Okay.
I don't even like listening to the major artists anymore because it's gotten too redundant. I don't hear them per se like challenging my ears.
Hmm.
So I find a lot of independent artists, regardless of the genre. A good song is a good song.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite artist that's really like, this is the one right now that's really like inside your brain?
I'll say this: I just interviewed a young lady out of Texas.
Uh-huh.
She goes by the name Charlotta. She sings R&B, but she's classically trained.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she actually received a scholarship in Texas to go to school. The songs that I've been coming across that she's been putting out there, I can really see her going if she has like the right push. Her
Hmm.
her music will appeal to a lot of people.
Gotcha. So now let's jump tracks completely for a second and talk
Hmm.
about a little something that we kind of teased, and that's how you've become an operations expert for
Hmm.
small business owners. So walk us into some of that. Like, what's that journey look like where you were like, you know what, people need this,
Hmm.
and I'm the guy. How did you get to that point?
Well, one, I was a partner with a counseling business for over a decade, and it
Okay.
was a private counseling business where the way the business got paid was directly through clients paying, no insurance involved. Also, it being brand new, also it competing because of the way the business was born wasn't a traditional startup,
Mhm.
meaning that the business was birthed off of a previous business selling part of their business. To one to a buyer over here to go this way, but the clients that need to be serviced that under these programs, that particular person wasn't qualified to do that.
Gotcha.
So someone else stepped in, and then that person had a business partner, and then they brought me in because I've had previous experience when I was in college running actually the former business that it was sold from. So yeah, it was a very interesting journey because I've learned that a lot of small business owners, they're great technicians at what they do. So
Mhm.
like a counselor is a great therapist, like a plumber is a great plumber, a doctor is a great doctor. But when it comes to doing things and running things like a business, they're not like, well versed in that area.
Mhm.
So most of the time they'll make business decisions that are horrible. but it's great for the client because they're servicing them.
Yeah.
Well, like one thing, I don't advocate for businesses that are small to like, how you can have when you set up your business and you have your cash flow,
Hmm.
you can do like, cash-based business. You can do account receivables.
Sure.
I'm like, with account receivables, there's pros and cons, but I look at it as more cons. You are one being taxed on invoices, and even if those invoices are not paid, and then people will go out and do jobs or give services, but not collect payment up front, and you're waiting on customers. In which not every customer, but if you have too many bad customers,
Hmm.
you're going to run into a serious cash flow problem.
Yep.
So you're not running as efficiently because cash is king. The longer you keep it in the account, the more you can do with it.
Yep.
And for the most part, businesses within the first few years are, robbing Peter to pay Paul, basically to, stay in business till they get to that point to where they are operating in the green or even trying to hit the black and not the red.
Hmm.
So it was a hard lessons learned, especially when you're trying to grow too
Hmm.
at the same time. You're trying to, make a name for yourself within that marketplace. You have competitors who are, charging lesser than you, even though you're giving a higher quality service, and making sure you make that distinction with the customer base and that's just out there in the marketplace, so they know and be well informed to come do business with you. And other businesses that I've run into, and because most small businesses are ran by one person,
Yep.
getting them to understand that they make a lot of different decisions and they wear many different hats. They can't show conflict with one another. They have to run smoothly and create synergy. So yeah, a lot of stressful days. Um, and then trying to like get them to understand, like, hey, let's take off, what I'm saying, our caring hat today and let's put on our CEO executive hat right now
Right.
because this decision you're trying to make is not going to look good for the business. It might be good short term,
Mhm.
but it's not going to look good. What I'm saying? One example is like trying to lower your prices to compete when if you have people that you're employing, even as like contractors, 1099s, and they're providing services for your business, you can't compete with someone who's a one person who can
Right.
lower their prices to, get clients to come in. Your prices have to be your price, and you have to stand in that price because you have way more overhead to pay for. And
Hmm.
you got to make sure you're getting in the same quantity. And you can lower your prices. It doesn't mean you're going to increase your revenue. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Those are the kinds of lessons that if a small business owner doesn't understand it, it will eat them
Mhm.
alive.
It does all the time.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
seen it.
there's a reason why you see the statistics, and there's, depending on which chart you're looking at, there's 20 some million small business or 30 some million small
Hmm.
businesses in America, and at any given time most of them are in the fading off stage and new ones are coming
Hmm.
in. And I think it's because
Hmm.
they didn't understand a lot of what you just described. There's so many little rules and principles and things you have
Hmm.
to do right, and if you don't, then your business is just going to tank.
Yeah, I've seen it where like even opportunity costs, right? People
Mhm.
don't think that's a thing. I've seen where business owners will post operational hours, but then when you get there, they're not even there. And I'm
Right.
like, how many people have tried to walk into your business and try to do business with you, but you're not there? That's opportunity lost. And I saw a hookah business go out of business because that was one of their main things that I kept telling them. I was like, look, I get it. Even that you're working and you get off your 9 to 5 to go work your business, you have to set your hours to where you know you're going to show up. If you're not showing up, you're going to drive your customers away because they're going to go out and tell everybody else, well, they're not even open. So even though you have it posted on your windows or your door that you're open from like Tuesday to Saturday from like 6 to 12, but here it is 6 o'clock. You're not even there. You're not getting there till like 7 or 8 o'clock. I'm like, come on.
Yep. Yeah, if customers can't trust you, they're going to move somewhere where they can trust.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I love that idea that you've taken and you're like, I'm going to own this and I'm going to help these small business owners learn these things and you're going to help them implement that. That's really cool. Now, what about the marketing side where you're
Hmm.
actually going out and helping them craft messaging? That kind
Hmm.
of harkens back to your college days, it sounds like, where you were studying marketing.
Yeah, it does. And when I was studying marketing, social media was not a thing. I'm
Hmm.
like, we're talking about, I graduated in 2006. So
Okay.
social media was not as big as it is now. And I had to learn social media like as it evolved because 2022 and 2025, social media It's not like 2010 and in 2012.
Oh yeah.
It's changed. The paradigm of everything has changed. So even with that, it's one, getting a lot of small businesses, one, in my experience, do not have a marketing budget.
Yeah.
They think about everything else except for the marketing budget. They don't understand, conversion costs. They don't understand the industries. Let's say they're in retail, where your customer acquisition cost is like, $5 to $7 per se, depending on, and it could fluctuate. They don't understand that, overall marketing budget when you first get started. I'm like, the numbers will tell you anywhere between 10 to 15%. I like to tell them about 20 to 25%. And I
Hmm.
know it's a little aggressive, but you're trying to place yourself in a market that's already established with other businesses that are doing either the same thing or similar things. Now
Right.
you're trying to capture some market share.
Hmm.
So it takes a lot for people to trust you. Even with the whole messaging, explain to them that, people have to see your business. What is it? 3 times or interact with your message for it to penetrate your brain. For
Right.
them to consider you valuable and to do business with you, you have to penetrate their brain 5 times. So that means they have to come across the message 15 times. There's some of them that they don't get that. They don't understand that philosophy. So trying to get small businesses to understand that, it's a lot. And then they always look at marketing as an expense. So
Hmm.
I'm working with preconceived notions that marketing is a bad thing. It's like this huge expense. And I try telling them it's actually is an investment in your brand and your business, because over the course of time, you can lessen your marketing dollars as you start to grab more market share. Now, you don't eliminate it, but you can lessen the amount you're spending. Because even like with case studies, doing strategic management and studying like, Coca-Cola versus Pepsi.
Hmm.
And Coke actually did this twice. People don't realize it. The For it to be the big brand that it is, um, I think it was back in the 90s, if I can remember correctly, the actually time period, but they just recently did this as well during the pandemic. One of the executives thought they was going to save money with
Okay.
marketing costs. So for a week, they did not advertise in all the different ways that they advertise. They relied solely on their brand. Pepsi ate up 72% of their sales that week. Hmm.
Wow.
During COVID, and this one's people can go look up and find. I can't remember, but one of the executives, I don't know if it was a CEO or one of the higher level executives, maybe VP of marketing or something like that, but they admitted it. During the pandemic, they lessened the marketing budget because, pandemic and people are sitting at home, blah, blah, blah. They lost 5 years worth of market share.
Whoa.
Yeah, so Procter and Gamble during the pandemic, they doubled down on their marketing efforts. They increased their marketing budget. They end up increasing their market share, and their net profit increased by 20%.
Wow.
So I get it. The economy, stuff changes, but I tell small business owners, if big businesses realize the value of spending money on marketing and really committing to it, you have to do the same thing. Now, of course, you're not going to have the $1 million budgets, but you have to spend something and consistently do that so you can get your message out there. Because I see a lot of them, even with social media, they try to post stuff, or they do post stuff, but it doesn't work.
Hmm.
They're just posting information, and everybody does that.
Yep.
There's no value to what they're posting.
Hmm.
I worked with a doctor. I went through and looked at her videos. I did, what did we do? I think we did like a 6 week campaign. Numbers grew exponentially.
Wow.
After her campaign, we didn't do another one. Her numbers dropped back down.
Hmm.
That's because, it's not different. She's presenting good information. She's just presenting it the wrong way. She's not really learning how to connect with the audience.
Oh, okay.
It's about the value that you bring with the audience, especially when it comes to social media, whatever platform you use.
Hmm.
As long as you know how to connect with the audience, they're going to engage. And the ones that, what I'm saying, you're really targeting, they're going to start calling and do whatever CTA action that you have
Right.
and, go down that sales funnel.
Right. Yeah. And I love that idea that rather than viewing it as just an expense where we're dumping money down the toilet, what it really is putting all this investment into your future so that you still
Hmm.
have a business. Because like you
Yeah,
said, you don't do it and you lose market share. You do it and you gain market share. So
you
which
do.
one do you want as a business? I guess if you want to go out of business, yeah, don't invest in anything.
Yeah. Don't invest in anything. And like I said, I've seen it to where, and I've done a lot of different type of small businesses, background companies where they do fingerprints, doctors and lawyers, beauticians and barbers, counseling, hemp-based product, just even artists. Because I tell creatives now, even people who are building brands, you're a business. A church, you're a business. Everything is a business. It just depends on, how you're looking at it. And if you treat it in that such, you'll get the results that you want. But when you don't treat it in that manner, you don't get the results that you want.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually talking to a musician a little while ago, and he and his group are good enough that they were asked to be at Coachella. They're
Mm-hmm.
that good, which is pretty good. But
Mm-hmm.
he was not sponsored by
Mm-hmm.
by the instruments that he's playing. Like that's one of the most common sponsors. And the reason I was asking him about it, he's like, "Oh yeah, the reason is because I hate social media, so I don't have a following. I don't invest in any of that. I'm purely an artist." And the music manufacturing company, they only care about how big my audience is on social. So
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't get sponsorships because he wouldn't invest in
Mm-hmm.
interacting with his fans. It was incredible.
I see that all the time. And I go it a step further. I've seen artists who do it the opposite way, where they build up a social media following and they don't maximize the revenue streams that they can create from their own following, their own base following.
Mm,
Like they have 100,000 followers or 90,000 followers, but they're relying on the old way of thinking of like how you put music out and make money. And
yeah,
I'm like, you're sitting on a gold mine right there. What are you talking about? You got 90,000 people to follow you. Somebody wants to pay you because they could be following because they're artists as well, or they have people in their family that need, you know what I'm saying? Let's say people do, there's been instances where I've seen people, let's say they'll be musically inclined. They play an instrument or something, right?
hmm,
And they want to impress people at their party. They might want to put out, you know what I'm saying, a couple songs and stuff like that, but don't know how to go through that process of doing that.
yeah,
That in itself, with your experience and your knowledge, is money. There's people who, you know what I'm saying, just want to interact with you just because. And it doesn't even have to be with music per se. Maybe they just want to be able to hang out with you and just get a little piece of you because they're a fan.
right,
So, let's go to lunch or let's go play pickleball or whatever.
yep,
That in itself could be, you know what I'm saying, positioned and propositioned to where, you make money from it.
absolutely,
Like all your exclusive stuff can be sold directly instead of, like people, a lot of artists been complaining about streaming and stuff. I tell them all the time, I'm like, well, if you complain about that, take it off the sites or whatever and just have people help your own website. I'm
right,
like, if they're really your fans and stuff, they're going to purchase from there anyway. It doesn't matter where they get it from.
yep,
That way it increases. You get way more money, even if you're selling songs at like, 99 cents or whatever.
hmm,
Out of like, 100,000 followers, only about 10% is going to be your core audience anyway. What if those 10,000 are buying your 99-cent song or, a dollar song? That's $10,000 you're making just off of that, which you would get paid way more than if you try to make that money through streaming.
right. Oh, absolutely.
So it's things like that. And that's how you efficiency, running your business to where all your efforts that you put into it return some type of have some type of return on investment by the labor of love that you're doing to it and the money that you commit to it.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes such a difference to have someone like you
Mm-hmm.
for business owners because oftentimes I've noticed people they're in the business all day every day and they've
Mm-hmm.
got the problem staring them right here in the
Mm-hmm.
face. What was that movie Patch Adams where he's in the
Mm-hmm.
insane asylum and the guy's like, "How many fingers do you see?" And
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't stand it. He's like, "The reason you can't see the answer is because you're looking at the problem. When you look past the problem, you see the right answer." And it's the same
Exactly.
thing. Like they're so in the day to day, they may
Mm-hmm.
not even recognize, oh, wow, I could monetize 100,000 followers. But bringing someone like you in, you can
Mm-hmm.
come in and say, look, I'm looking at it this way. You're looking at
Mm-hmm.
it this way. Let me show you
Mm-hmm.
some of the things I'm seeing. And
Mm-hmm.
let's figure out how to be innovative. Let's figure out how to get attention. Let's figure out how to
Mm-hmm.
monetize. Let's figure all these things out so your business can take off. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that you're able to do those kinds of things for people. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
I tell small business owners nowadays, when you put your business out there, it's not even about the business anymore. It's about you as the person. Because this isn't in 19, 50s and 60s and 70s. Just because you built it doesn't mean they're going to come. This isn't Field of Dreams. So I tell them nowadays, people support you through the business because they love you as the personality. So if you have a personality, that right there is gold. I wrote a proposal for a young woman who she's a CNA, but she does body sculpting services,
Oh, okay.
and she has new machinery, so she does a lot of lymphatic massages with the wood treatment, and then she has the everything's non, you know what I'm saying, surgical, which is
Yeah.
great because it helps you lose weight and all those other ancillary benefits that you'll get.
Hmm.
And when I wrote her proposal based off the research that I did and just talking to her over the Zoom call for like an hour, hour and a half, she loved it. She's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get started in February because you get me." I was like, "I understand what you're doing, but I also understand what you're not doing as far as like really maximizing your business." So I'm excited for that. But it's like you said, I've been doing this a long time. I've been in business for a long time. And when you can get to combine the education and the experience, like all I think of at the end of the day is the consumer. How is the consumer supposed to receive this?
Right.
And what's the benefit to the consumer? As long as you keep the consumer in the forefront, you'll always like to meet it because they get it. They see it. They want to come and shop with you. But I think a lot of times small business owners thinking about themselves as far as like, the business and they're so caught up in being the technician of the business that they forget that, there's things that you can do and, processes that you can put in place to avoid you can get back your time and you can actually work on business and not in business.
Yeah. Hey, I really like that concept that you said just a second ago about how people can go from working in the business to working
Hmm.
on the business and how
Hmm.
looking at it these different ways and implementing these different tools allows that transition to happen from really the grind to something that's really quite cool to be a business owner and have that. I mean,
Hmm.
there's not a lot of other feelings in the world that really compares to this idea that and feeling that you get as an owner where you're looking at it and you're like, oh wow, I don't even have to show up to work today. It's okay. Like
Hmm.
that's a
That's
really unique
that's when
feeling.
you know you actually have a business.
Exactly.
Because there's some who can't even take off. And again, it's because I think they work themselves in the business too much. One of the first things I did when I was a part of the counseling business, and just for myself, I was training others to do administrative business admin stuff that I didn't need to focus on anymore because I wanted to go and get bigger clients and do more B2B business as
Mm,
opposed to B2C.
yep.
And that's what I did. So I was setting up a system to where they knew what to do. I don't have to be there. So therefore, I'm working on the business and not in the business.
Yeah, exactly. So, how do people get in touch with you?
A lot of different ways. They can
Okay.
follow on social media. I use my Banked Out Radio Show as my major way of communicating, just because I do so much stuff with the podcast. So on Instagram, Banked Out, which is spelled BANKEDOUTT_radio_show, and then just Banked Out Radio Show on the Facebook page. That's across all different social medias, but those are my two main ones for that. Or they could just email me, bankedoutradioshow@gmail.com, and I'll respond because it all comes to my phone. I did have a website, but I shut that down because it was tied into the actual digital radio side for the when I was doing the radio platform. But I'm looking to revamp and do that sometime uh, next year if I get to it. We're just gonna see because now I'm doing videography work and just getting one on one with clients and stuff. Some of the projects I take on take up a lot of my time, like shooting the reality show.
Right.
So it's like, when people can get to me, they can get to me. But I do respond to all inquiries and stuff, and I do have automated processes where there's like someone can go to the Facebook page and there's certain amount of questions they can ask where it'll automatically tell them the answer.
Oh, okay. Nice. But yeah, if somebody's looking to get in touch, or maybe they just want to follow your podcast too, but they can find the
Hmm.
podcast at those handles too,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
then if they're interested in maybe getting some help in their business, either
Hmm.
on the marketing side, social
Hmm.
media side, implementing some strategies to make the business run better, they can go to any
Hmm.
of those socials or email you
Hmm.
and get a hold of you.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, sounds good. Do you have any parting words of advice for people uh, as we wrap up today?
Um, just in general, I could say two things. One, in general, like whatever you want to do, just go out there and do it. You don't know what's going to happen with it, and allow it to grow.
Hmm.
Um, I mean that's with anything. I don't care if you want to, be a teacher, if you want to be a plumber, whatever the case may be. Just go out there and whatever makes you happy. That's like saying success for me because you're actually waking up doing something that you love every day. For anyone, especially new entrepreneurs, find a mentor. Because a mentor will help alleviate a lot of troubles you'll go through, and your learning curve will be, you know what I'm saying, a whole lot lessened. So you'll get to the better side of things quicker.
Hmm.
Why take, you know what I'm saying, 10 years to something you can learn and get there in 3?
Yep.
So that's what I would leave everyone with.
I love it. Thanks for the thanks for coming on the show today. Thanks for sharing
Mhm.
your story, sharing your tips. I love how you took the time to talk about some of the pitfalls you've seen business
Mhm.
owners make and also strategies people can really take to overcome and to convert their business from working in all the time to working
Mhm.
on. So thank you
Mhm.
so much. Everybody, if you're interested, please do reach out. We'll put the information in the description or the show notes below so you can also find it that way. And again, thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome. I appreciate you for having me.